G'day folks, welcome to this live playthrough of Atlantic War. This is the old classic SPI version from 1978. It's the rulebook and the scenario book are showing some sort of signs of wear, but it really doesn't look like the game's been played. I picked this up secondhand about a year or two ago. It's just one of those games that's sort of been on my radar for a while. I thought I'd give it a go. And this is scenario 1, the fall of Cherbourg. This is a good starting scenario because it doesn't include any landings. It doesn't include any of the airborne landings or the sort of invasion beach landings. So it's just basic hex encounter, movement, combat. There are some of the sort of core rules, like the air units way out on the left, you can see up here. And we also have some fleets in play as well, down the very bottom here. So I am one day into this scenario. It is now the 20th of June, 1944. Each day is broken into 4 turns, including 3 day turns and a night turn. The night turn though is pretty quiet. If you engage in combat during that night turn, your units become disrupted. The there's there's 5 maps to this. This is just map E, one of the maps, and then there are 4 others making up sort of the Normandy region of which the fighting takes place. And yeah, as you can see, this scenario focuses on this one map with sort of Cherbourg down here. Over the course of that first day, so the scenario runs until the end of the 27th of June. So the Allies have about 8 days to capture Cherbourg, this point here in particular. This is their objective. And, well, the line sort of started off around here. They had some area of most success was around here, Saint-Germain, I can't read this, Tunabou. They captured this. Not too many, not too many eliminations, I don't think. There seemed to be a lot of retreat results. Let me show you the CRT, give you a sense of what we're looking at. So you add up old CRT, combat ratio, attacker divided by defender, roll 2 dice to get a result. The bold results affect the defender. The non-bold results, lightly shaded, affect the attacker. But any D results that you can see here, the lowercase d and the uppercase d, always affect the attacker. This is either a disruption or a uppercase D is demoralization. And then basically the attackers haven't got the result they wanted and they disrupted or demoralized from the attack. And when that happens, basically they have to spend a turn not doing anything, just resting. And it's happened a lot. It's amazing how often you can roll these disrupted or demoralized results. You can keep attacking whilst disrupted and demoralized, but if a demoralized unit suffers another negative result like that, they are eliminated. So I've been, on the first day, I've been very cautious and resting my units, getting them to recover. And this is the situation you can see here now, after the night term as well, a good deal of recovery. Whenever artillery moves, you may notice these out of battery counters here. They are placed, for the most part, out of battery for 2 turns. They've spent the night turn, so these units have moved, these artillery pieces have moved down to get closer to the front. They have spent a turn getting back into battery, and they have 1 more turn to go, and then they can fire again. They can fire twice during a day. When they fire the first time, they're flipped over and have a slightly reduced strength. And when they fire a second time, they're out of ammo and they can't fire again. And they can fire up to, I guess, 4 turns. I think maybe just 3 for the 3 or 4 turns throughout the day. It's a little reason for them to want to fire during the night turn, basically. Let me show you a typical infantry counter. You've got strength rating, armour rating, and movement. The first and the last ratings are the 2 that you're really focusing upon. strength for combat determination. The armour rating is used to determine an armour shift, and this is one of the most, it's just one of the trickiest elements of the game. That's kind of worth explaining because it's going to come up. So basically, this is an armor. You need a combination in the one hex of a non or an unparenthesized armor rating and a parenthesized armor rating. And the parenthesized armor rating, their combat strength must be equal to or greater than the unparenthesized armor rating. Is this sounding confusing? Because it is, trust me. Then, if that's the case, if the infantry outnumber or have at least match the number of armor points you have, you then add those factors together. Where were these guys? They are here. And you compare with the defender's armor rating. And if you have more sort of armor points than the defender, you get an armor shift. That's it in a nutshell. You've also got headquarters units. These are important. They provide supply, and you can see these are all the headquarters units up here with the number 6 on top. Allied headquarters start with 6 replacement points, so they can flip reduced steps back to full strength. But the German headquarters, such as this one here, only start with 1 replacement point, and I've already used one of them from this headquarters here. Trying to secure the front around here. So you can see what the Germans are doing. They're blocking Valognes around here. A lot of good town hexes to defend. Terrain effects chart is that very old SPI style. Towns multiply the defender's armor by 3, and they reduce barrage into the hex by 1/2. You'll notice a lot of this bocage, all this terrain here is bocage, and it is horrific. It reduces barrage into the hex by 1/2. What else does it do? It's horrible to move through bocage, yeah, costing 2 for infantry, 4 for Class B mechanized units, doubles the defender's armor as well, just making it really tough to move through. In addition, when advancing through bocage, each hex of advance is treated as 2 hexes. That's very slow to move through, and you can get some sort of surprise results for the defender. All right, well, let me demonstrate how this works. I'm at the start of the second turn, as I said, and there is a summary sequence of play on the back of the rulebook, but just as I've sort of been learning the game, I've been referring to the full game turn sequence in a printed copy of the rulebook. So it's the aim turn. We need to make a weather determination. Now, fortunately, on the first turn, we had clear weather. And at the start of the second turn, it's not going to be good. High rolls are bad. This is actually going to be storm or heavy overcast. We need to roll again. It is heavy and overcast. No air unit utilization whatsoever. So that is out. Yeah, okay, what other weather effects are there? Yep, so we adjust the weather track. It is all the way over here to the right. Heavy overcast. I wonder also if this is going to affect my ability to barrage. Weather. It's about the rules are about 32 pages. The core rules are not, I can't find the weather rules, so I assume it just affects. I'm looking at the artillery rules, doesn't say anything about storms or heavy weather, so I assume it's just. Maybe weather is right at the end. Air power, naval power, replacement, bocage, weather. Here we go. 4 possible types of weather. I like that. On heavy overcast, no air units may be allocated. Yeah, that's about it pretty much. Okay, so from there, we would normally make an Allied Mulberry stage determination. This is where basically you're rolling for, in the full campaign or in the landing invasion scenarios, you're rolling for supplies arriving and allocate these to headquarters. We don't need this because this is sort of later in the campaign. Then we do mutual air allocation stage. This is an interesting aspect of the game. You take your air units, which may have been reduced due to weather, as is the case now, and you can allocate them to either ground support, interdiction, or air superiority. Air superiority basically resolves in an air battle, and you'll eliminate opponents' air units. Ground support is most important for this scenario. It's basically bringing air units in to support combat, pretty straightforward. Whereas interdiction is you add up all the points you've allocated to interdiction. You consult Allied Air Interdiction chart, which is just off screen to the left here, and it has various effects. It reduces German off-map movement. It reduces their strategic movement allowance, making it difficult for them to move units around the board. And it reduces their supply line length, making it more difficult for the units sort of stretched out along the front to draw supplies. But I looked into this situation here, and I don't think any of those things really matter. There's no off-map movement. The Germans aren't doing a lot of strategic movement, and they're not overly concerned about their supply paths. They've already got pretty short supply lines, so they're pretty happy with that. So I've just been dedicating everything to ground, where I did on the first turn, dedicated all to ground support. And those air units were pretty good. However, because most of the combat's taking place in Bocage hexes, they are halved in adding their sort of bombardment strength to combat. So that's pretty much of no consequence this turn. Now we get to the mutual artillery resupply phase. This is going to be really important. And basically, I get all my artillery back in supply. One of the trickiest things about this game, oops, that should remain, and that should remain, has been that the counters are printed on two sides, but it's not in the, it's printed on the sort of top edge. It's flipped on the top edge. So I'm accustomed to sort of flipping units on the side. Let me give you an example of what I'm talking about here. So if I take a typical infantry unit like this, let's see, full strength side. Normally you'd flip it sideways to reduce it, but in fact you have to get in the habit of flipping it on the top side. Such a little thing, but it keeps throwing me. It's amazing how such a minor little stylistic issue like that can create so many problems, because I'm always flipping units the wrong way. So I'm just flipping my artillery units back over to full supply to start the new morning. You'll notice they go from their D side to their full strength side. Sometimes it gives them a few extra points. These guys here have fired, so you see they fired once, whereas this unit fired twice over the course of that first day. The third number, so the first number is their offensive strength, bringing in artillery to support combat. The second number is basically their defensive. They can add that number for to assist in defensive sort of combat ratios. It does have a name, FPF, Final Protective Fire. So you can add that to the defense. So I mentioned that this is where the Allies had their early success. They really struggled along here. No movement whatsoever in this German line. Several failed combats along the line, a lot of disorganisation and demoralisation. They were pretty inactive here. The Americans start off quite weak, but then they get this wave of reinforcements, I think, on the third turn. And that's kind of caught the Germans by surprise. They had been entrenching out here, thinking this might be pretty quiet, and then this line of this column of Americans came down here from 9th Division. So every unit, let me just show you a typical unit, has their battalion, regiment, and division. So this is 3rd Battalion, 22nd Regiment, 4th Division. You can break down these battalions into company-sized units. Actually, that's not a company-sized infantry, but we do have. Here we are. So we can break these battalions down into 3 company-size units, and they can move around like that. Stacking is basically 3 units in a hex, but only 1 battalion-sized unit can participate in combat. So that's why you may notice I have, for example, a battalion-sized unit here with 2 companies, and in this case, all 3 units can participate. Same over here, I have 2 companies with a battalion, and you'll notice probably the same with some of the Germans. So you'll notice there are entrenchments, and there are, off map, actually there aren't any. There are also improved positions. So entrenchments double your combat strength, whereas improved positions give you a column shift. And to be honest, I wasn't sure when these would be used. So is it better to get the column shift or the double strength? I just figured double strength, I know what I'm getting there. Basically 4 extra strength points out in these areas, so I went with that. All right, so that's my artillery resupplied. The Germans, I don't think they fired their artillery. They don't get much on that final protective fire, and to be honest, I forgot about it a couple of times. I was kind of waiting to kind of hold it, but yeah, to be honest, I just forgot about it. All right, so that is resupply. Now we get the Allied play a turn. Mutual supply determination. In this scenario, the Allies don't have to work out their supply. They're assumed to always be in supply. It's pretty straightforward anyway. You draw a line to your headquarters. In a full campaign, you draw to, where would you draw to? I think you draw to a headquarters and then to a supply beach, to a, what are they called? Yeah, a beach hex. All right, so now we have movement, and the Allies had been trying. My early plan was to sort of pincer around Valence and capture it early. The left pincer failed, but I had this unexpected success down here. And I'm thinking, given what's happening out in the flank out here, I might sort of just do a very broad pincer and surround Valence. And if the Germans want to hang around there and really leave all their defensive units in here, all the better for the Americans. They can move on Cherbourg, which is at present virtually undefended. There were, I will point out, 7th Armoured Troop units in Cherbourg. I've moved them out here to try and do more of a forward defence, thinking the situation here on the right was secure. All right, so American movement. We've got this, what is it called? A stationary gun battery emplacement here, which I'd like to finish off. That won't be too hard. They're in Bocage, only a strength of 1. That's going to be pretty easy. So I'll move them in and get the engineers just to help out. Then this is going to be a very tough unit to. This is a 7th Armoured Troop. What is it? I don't know what we'd call that, but 7 armour factors with some very tough engineers. I don't want to get anywhere near that. And they're blocking this road to the north. So we're looking towards the south, I'll point out as well. So this is really when I'm looking here. Montaigu. It's really hard to read the place names on this map with all the bocage everywhere. And it is pretty well defended. And again, you can see that AT battalion there. A strength of 4. So it's going to basically nullify any armour that I bring in here. keeping in mind Armour is only the unparenthesized types of units, such as this one here. Okay, so I'm kind of in a bit of trouble here. Can't do a great deal with my Armour. Would love to break through. I think I'm just going to have to punch a hole. It's like just start pushing through here. So we'll get this engineer unit here. We will move. There's also regimental integrity, so I'm paying close attention to the regiments. Got 22nd Regiment here, and they're both going to move on this 77th Division Engineer Battalion. That'll give them 16 to 8. Can I get some armour over there? These guys can make it. So armour moves through Bocage, costing 4 movement points per hex. So that's 4, 8, 12. That'll give me not enough, because their armour defence will be doubled to 8. So can I get something else in the area? There's other armour in that area. So I'm just going to rely on the infantry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. My artillery way back here could reach and support that attack. All my other artillery is currently out of battery. Maybe I can get this armour. Yeah, okay, there's this 7th Armoured Troop Regiment here. I can go. Who am I relying on here? 8th Regiment. Get some regimental integrity here. 1, 2. So that's 2 movement points per hex for infantry through Bocage. So it's 2. A village just costs the 1, so 3, and then 4, 5. Another important rule is that attacks are mandatory. So if I move adjacent to, that's why there's all these gaps between the two forces, between the two lines. If I move adjacent to a German unit, I have to attack it. You can, of course, satisfy that necessity to attack by using artillery. So I could use, for example, this artillery here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, so they can attack there, which satisfies that attack, and then both these units can attack that unit there. What else are we looking at? Just some companies there. Big AT. They've got a lot of AT, but yeah, okay. So if I can move these guys in there. 1, 2, that's 4. Woods is 8. No, that's going to be too far. We'll leave them there. And these guys will come across and go 2, 4, 6. It's going to be a pretty weak attack, I think, but we'll give it a go. They're in wooded terrain, which gives them a half barrage. We'll see what happens. Leaving the armour behind. Okay, shifting our attention. This is going to be tough. They've just sent so much in here. I don't even think it's worth spending any time on. I think that might be German bicycle infantry, maybe. They've got 5 defence factors there. And where's the rest of my 315th Regiment? They're up here. Just going to bring this as part of the 4th Division. So these guys are going to come down south. I'll bring them, shift them up. Bring them down just to sort of retain some divisional integrity. 4th Division anti-tanks, 2 infantry companies. We'll just shift 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. These are streams. They cost +1 movement point to cross. Did I forget to do that back down here? If I did, too bad, it's too late. Rivers are far more critical way up here, far more costly. They typically require engineers to cross for a lot of mechanised units. Okay, so it'd be good to get this unit out of here. I need 3/15. All right, so these guys will go there. They'll come down. These guys will just, oops, not the artillery. They're both artillery. They'll stay there. So 3/15. I don't think the armour can reach. That's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Yeah, it's not going to reach. 4, 5, 6. Yep, none of this armour up here can reach. A lot of the American armour sort of started, all these guys might be able to, but they only have the 1 armour strength. This little M5 company. It's got 4, 5, 6, 10, 14, 15, 16, just not enough. 80 there, armoured units there, already kind of running to roadblocks on the second turn. But we must push on. And so, if we keep our armour out of it, we can get maybe just a really focused attack here. Maybe shift my armour into the town here, and they're going to hang about and wait for an opportunity. And then, don't want to make them too vulnerable, so we'll bring the infantry down. To there, push the lines in and hold that. Okay, what's happening out here on the right? Oh, camera move, sorry about that. Yep, that's Cherbourg down here, Stephen. But the Americans just have to capture this 1 hex to win the scenario. There's a lot of built-in entrenchments and improved positions built into the map, which do count for this scenario. Okay, so looking at the centre here, I'm going to spend a replacement point. I should have done that earlier, but I'll do it now. To flip them to full strength. And then I want to make an attack here on Brickebe. Bring these down. This should just about be enough, I reckon. They are 39th Regiment 9th Division, 39th Regiment 9th Division, so they have to be adjacent. So 2, 4, they'll both attack. We're going to get some armour bonus here. They are in a town, which will triple their armour defence, which is only 1. So if I can get just 6, yeah, okay. I'll be able to demonstrate how this works here. There's also some reduced German infantry here, but they're a bit isolated. So 2/60th. I'm going to bring some of these 9th Division guys back up into their position. 2, 4, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then 2, 4, 6. It's unlikely the Germans will push through, but just covering my bases. Now, I've got this newly arrived 79th Division. We're looking to hit the Germans out on the right flank. And this is, keeping in mind, this is double defence, but it's only a 2, which doubles to 4, and they're in clear terrain. Oh, but they're in a town. No, they're not in clear, they're in a town. Okay. the town isn't going to do a great deal. It's just it's going to be completely nullify the armour, but and make artillery harder. But if I can really focus with just infantry here, leave my armour behind. That's 24 to 4. But yeah, 6 to 1. We'll see how that goes. What else? Okay, so 2, 1, 2. We'll hang about there. Those guys won't move, and they'll start to set their battery. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These guys will use strategic movement. 1. It's really hard to pick up. I can't actually pick up the units. 2, 3, 4, 5. Just sort of facilitating regimental integrity. Engineers, we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And oh yeah, this artillery will have to move as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and they will be, because they've moved, they will now have an out of battery 2 counter placed upon them. Basically 2 turns before they can fire again. Okay, that's all the US movement. Now we get to the US combat phase. And as I said, combat is mandatory. So I've got to attack this unit because there are 2 adjacent. Every defender adjacent to an enemy unit must be attacked, and every attacker adjacent to an enemy must attack. Okay, so here we have 13 on 1 in Bocage. Yeah, doubles their armour, halves artillery, but 13 to 1 should be pretty much all but guaranteed. We're using in Bocage this column here. We roll 2 dice, get a 5. The 5 result here is a 2 with a 2 in parentheses. The 2 in parentheses means mandatory losses. There's only 1 step unit, so they're dead. And the number out of parentheses is a retreat, but a unit can attempt a morale check to convert it to losses if they really want. But in this scenario, I don't really want to do that. So they will advance into the hex and hang about there. We've then got 2 combats taking place here. So we've got these 2 stacks attacking these guys in the center here. They have a defense of, they're in wooded terrain with a defense of 4. The woods will again triple their defensive armor and halve barrage. Now I have 10, 14. Okay, so 14. 15, 16. 16 on 4. I have 112. I don't have regimental integrity. Oh no, sorry. 112 and nope, don't have regimental integrity. So it's pretty much just a 4 to 1 in wooded terrain. Does the defender have regimental integrity? They're 2, 3, 5, 7. No. No armour superiority here, so an 8 on the 4 to 1 in the woods is unfortunately a terrible result. 1 mandatory loss for the attacker, and I'll flip that to its reduced side. 1 optional loss, and I'm just going to take that as a retreat. And both of those stacks are now completely demoralised. Place these on them, which means to they can keep attacking. I think they're at half strength when they attack. But if they suffer another adverse result, they'll be eliminated. To recover this, they basically have to stay still and not move for 2 turns. And that's basically what I'll do. There's another attack over here though. These guys do have regimental integrity. We've got 16, 17 on 6. They're in the woods, so their armor rating is... I didn't realize they were in the woods because that armor is going to be triple. So they're actually going to have an armor defense of 9, which isn't going to give me the superiority I need. So they'll stay out. And I'll just attack with the 16 on 6. Another pretty terrible attack. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So this artillery can fire, and that can. So it's 12 halved because of the woods to 6. So I've got 16 plus 6, 22. Oh, geez, it's still not great. On 8, it's basically, no, sorry, this one here. Yeah, 16 on 6, 22 on 6, which is 3 to 1. Regimental integrity makes it 4 to 1. 8. That's exactly the same result. So again, a mandatory step loss. I will take the second one as a retreat. And both units are again demoralised. So without air support, it's pretty tough. Now there are naval units, but the rules for this scenario are pretty brutal. There's all these shore batteries that have absolutely destroyed. It's the one area that I'm really uncertain about. Basically, the US start with about a dozen ships, a lot of destroyers, cruisers and the like, but the Germans get all these shore batteries firing at them in the first turn. Every turn they can fire. And they hit these ships pretty easily. They become damaged. And when a damaged ship takes a hit, it's destroyed. And that's why there's all these dead ships already after just the first turn. This is the one rule that I'm just not certain about. It seems pretty straightforward. It seems pretty clear, but it was so devastating that it just seems wrong. So pretty much the Allies don't have much naval power left. Okay, so shifting around here now, we've got another 16 on 8. Can I draw on any artillery? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Not too far out. Nothing, I don't think. So it's just 2 to 1. Regimental integrity gives me 3 to 1. 1, 2, yep, they're too far out. So 3 to 1, 3 to 1, 9 in Bocage. So 3 to 1, 9. Hey, it's a bold result. So we look at Bocage, 3 to 1, a 9 is a 1D. So the one result, they could make a morale check to attempt to take a step loss and stand, but they'll just retreat 1 step. These guys, however, they can advance. They may as well with 1, but because of that lowercase d, they are both slightly disordered. Okay, next combat up here we have in a town, which, sorry, it's a village, which is going defensive armor times 2, barrage times a half. So 16 on 8, and we have 2 artillery up here, which can throw 8 halved to 4. So it's not going to add anything substantial, is it? I really need a big 8 value artillery piece. There aren't any left. Okay, so it's in that case I won't bother at all. Regimental integrity, so 2 to 1 becomes 3 to 1, 8. 3 to 1, 8 in a town is 1D. So the 1 will be a retreat, and they are both disordered. So here's a great lesson in how not to conduct an attack. You really need big odds for these combats. You need 6, 7s to 1. Otherwise, yeah, you're getting all these disordered, demoralised results. Hopefully, odds improve as we shift around. So here we have already reduced infantry in a town. So it's 3. We have, okay, we've got 16, 17, 18, 19. No artillery. Oh yeah, here we go. 19, 20, 21. We'll throw that small artillery. Again, half because of the town. So 21, which gives me 7 to 1. All right, try and write this down. 7 to 1. Okay, now there's the armour shift. Now there's an armoured unit here with 3 factors. It's got a combat strength of 1, and the infantry it's with is at least equal to that 1. So it can count. Same over here. Oh no, there's no armour over here. So I add up the armour strength, and it is 7, which is at least 2 times greater than the defender's armour strength, which is tripled. So the defensive armour strength is 3, 7 is 2 or more times 3, so I get 2 column shifts. I think that's how I'm playing it anyway. That's how I interpret it. So 7 to 1 goes up to 8 to 1, 9 to 1. In a town, a 10, that should be a good result. What I say, 7, 8, 9 to 1. In a town, 10 is 2D. Unfortunately, there's no mandatory step loss, so they can just retreat 2 spaces. I can certainly advance into the town, but that little lowercase d means more disorder. And all this does is really just slow me down. It means these units at some stage just have to stop and recover. All right, so now shift around to the right, and I've got this combat over here against these entrenched defenders. They are in a town with double strength, so they're up to 4. Armour is halved, artillery is halved. So it's 24 on 4, 6 to 1. Regimental integrity, yep, 6 to 1. 7 to 1. Yep, 7 to 1, 4. Okay. 7 to 1, town, 4. Hey, it's 2 mandatory step losses plus 2. So I don't think they can survive that because it's just a 1. Oh no, 1, 2. This becomes a German anti-tank company. Let me try and find that. So these are the German units. First thing you need to do when you get this game, if you get this game, is divide them into divisions. But the tricky thing is, the AT, all the companies are on these counters, but there's one type of company on one side, so infantry on this side, and the reverse is, what is that? Mechanised infantry. I don't know where, oh here it is, AT companies, lots of AT companies. So there's an AT company there, so they've taken 2 step losses from full strength reduced down to company, and now that's a mandatory 2. Now they have the 2 optional. They can stand their ground and fight, or they'll retreat 2 spaces. And now the Americans can advance. In fact, we might just advance in the middle there, into the town, and then to there. And the reason I'm advancing following the path of retreat for the infantry is because now they either fight or they have to disengage. That's all the combat. Pretty terrible for the Americans. Something will happen over here, but elsewhere in the center here, they're really, really struggling. We then shift, and basically it's a repeat of that for the Germans. They start off with their movement, And they're thinking, is there an opportunity to counterattack? There's only four factors there. They're looking pretty weak. I'm pretty strong. I've got some artillery. Ooh. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 11. Yeah. Yeah, I think this might be an opportunity to hit these poor, unprepared Americans right here. Shifting in. Give me 10, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. Okay, so we'll move in there. I am worried about this happening out in the far right. So what I'm going to do is take some of these 7th Armoured Troop units, and they're going to strategically move out to the right. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I'll try and keep regimental integrity for these guys, so I'll bring the whole regiment out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm sure I saw another one. No, maybe that was it. Oh, these guys here. 1, 2. Oh no, they've got disengaged. That's 3. Okay, well, instead of disengaging, can we attack? No, we don't want to do that. So it's half the movement points to disengage. So 3, 4, 5. And they don't want to fight either, so they'll disengage. And then this little infantry unit here is kind of sticking out a bit. So they'll come back and join the artillery, who doesn't want to hang around it for too long because they are very vulnerable. All right, we'll reform the line a bit here, bring these guys back one, whilst keeping the defenders in around Boulogne. This unit here is doing very well. They've been attacked a lot and they've stood their ground. This is the one unit that I spent my 1 replacement point on to improve to full strength, and it's been brilliant. The line is pretty solid around here. Artillery behind the lines, pretty happy. Headquarters here is super vulnerable. Okay. Okay. So I may need to pull the line back. Yeah, they'll come back 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, they've got to move. So this is 77th, which stretches out to here. They're within 15 hexes. 77th out here. So maybe if they go strategic move, no. Let's move across here, 1, 2, 3, 4. I think artillery only has a movement of 5, so they're not going far. And they're out of battery for 2 turns. I'll keep it on top just as a reminder. Which then lets me move this guy around to there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so another thing, the German engineers can build entrenchments, and they tried to do that, but if an enemy unit, I think, moves within 4 spaces, they have to stop. And so the Americans were pretty keen to interrupt that trench building, and so all the engineer actions were really disrupted. Incidentally, I couldn't find this unit, so I've just sort of printed off a little replacement. It could well be in the counter mix, but good luck finding it. It wasn't with this division, so maybe I made a mistake when I was sorting them out. Okay, entrenchment here is okay. These guys looking very vulnerable. I'm just going to pull them back a little bit. And in fact, oh God, that's just a 1AT company. They've got to come back. This is the big problem. It's this open terrain, which is hard to defend. I think they've got to give it up. Otherwise, the Americans can just come through here. So giving up the entrenchments. And 1, 2. We'll just come back 1, I guess. You can see what's going to happen. So the engineers will go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, I think I was too quick in moving the Germans out of Cherbourg towards the south, what is that, southeast, rather than holding them behind and preparing for this attack out here. Okay, so that's the German movement. What have we got? Just a 1 combat out here. They will, before we do anything, spend that artillery to satisfy the required attack on this unit. So nobody has to attack that. These 3 stacks here then can attack this unit. And we have 12, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. The Americans are in woods. So 22 plus, we'll throw in our rocket artillery. 22, 10 half to 5 is 27 now. And why not throw in another artillery piece? 27 halved gives us 30 German attack factors against, so let me write that down, 30 versus the American 4. Okay, but they are going to, God, can they add, like add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, it's just out of range. There's no artillery there, and they're out of battery. There is no supporting artillery available. They've just pushed that 1 hex too far, so they're in trouble. They don't get regimental integrity because there's no regiments there, just companies. These guys don't get regimental integrity either, but they do get their armor bonus. I'm pretty sure it's going to work here. So here we have our armor. There are more infantry steps than armor, so they can use it. The total of armor steps then, both unparenthesized and parenthesized, is 11, and we compare that with the American 2, which is triple before the woods, to 6. So it's greater than but not double. So they get 1 shift. So 30 divided by 4 is what, 7 to 1, becomes 8 to 1 in the woods. 8 to 1, 9. Let's have a look. Woods, 8 to 1, 9 is 2 mandatory step losses plus 1. Well, there are only 2 companies there, and they're now dead. And the Germans can advance. Okay. Wow. Yep, that's the German turn. So, yeah, that is the end of the turn. What else do we need to do? Yep, combat phase, allied parachute. So from here in the full campaign, you do parachute drop phase, allied invasion stage, naval movement phase now, and then game turn indication, where we shift the game turn track down to the sort of midday turn on the 20th of June. And yeah, go back to the start with the American turn. But that's hopefully giving you an idea of how this plays out. I'm going to take a pause here and have a bit of a break and think about what the Americans can do. Yeah, look, something to keep in mind, this game is 43 years old. There's still some very clunky elements. I mentioned my concerns with Navy. Calculating armour factor sounds confusing, but I think I've got it understood. But yeah, and of course there's no Allied invasion, no paratroop landings yet What else? I think for the most part, I'm playing most of the rules correctly. If you see anything glaring and you've played this before, let me know. Otherwise, yeah, thanks everyone for watching. This is Atlantic War. I'll be continuing this, so yeah, stay tuned if you want to see more of this. My plan, let me give you a big zoom out and show you what's going on. So I've had to split the map into, under those boxes and pieces of paper, what have we got here? So this is Utah, Omaha, Gold, Juno, Sword. I think that's Khan. Yep, there's Khan up there. So I split those beaches into that side, and then this is the peninsula out here on a couple of maps. So there's two maps behind there, and then map E sits across them. And that's my plan, to eventually shift to the full campaign. So yeah, stay tuned if you want to check that out. Thanks again.